Robert Plank Show, episode 210. What is your what? Get it done, express, immerse, and reinvent yourself with Steve Olsher. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Robert Plank Show. This is the podcast where we talk about making money and building an online business. Our guest today is Steve Olsher, and Steve is known as the world's foremost reinvention expert. He's famous for helping individuals and corporations become exceptionally clear on their what. That is the one thing they were created to do, and his practical, no-holds-barred approach to life and business propels his clients towards achieving massive profitability while also cultivating a life of purpose, conviction, and contribution. Sounds like some awesome stuff. Mr. Steve, welcome to the program.
Hey, my man. Thanks.
I'm happy that you're here. And so, can you kind of tell us about what it is that you do? Because I mean, I see some things in your bio about how you have a podcast and you're a speaker. So, what is it that you do that makes you stand out compared to everyone else?
So my focus is really on helping people discover, share, and monetize their what, as I call it, which was the name of the book I put on the New York Times list, which is called "What Is Your What?" And so ultimately, I don't think you can do too much in business, but certainly in life in general, unless you've got clarity around exactly what your what is. And so that's how some folks know me. I've also been online since '93, ownliquor.com. So if you're into mixology and cocktail culture, check that out. And came from the nightclub and the real estate and catalog worlds as well. So entrepreneur, writer, author, speaker, and do a lot of online marketing as well.
Awesome. So very accomplished. And so when you made this, or came up with this, what is your what concept, and it came up with the book and stuff. I mean, sort of like, where did this come from? Did this come from when you made liquor.com, or did you kind of get to sort of a point of burnout, or like, where did this what is your what idea come from?
You know, I've pretty much subscribed to the notion that in author land, you write the book that you most need. And so for me, that's always been the question, at least throughout my adult life, of just really what am I here to do in my own unique way? And, what is it that I'm meant and made to do? And so after trying the Myers-Briggs and the What Colors Your Parachutes and Strengths Finders of the worlds, that, all of those really just left me with more questions than answers. I figured there's got to be an easier way to get to what that answer is. And so that is the genesis of creating the What Is Your What framework, because, reality is it's a question that I've had throughout my entire adult life.
Okay, so everyone needs to figure out their what. Everyone needs to figure out what they were meant to do. And so how does a person go about doing that? What are the steps to that?
So the What Is Your What framework is comprised of three specific, simple, yet incredibly powerful steps. The first is really gaining clarity on what your core gift is. And when I say gift, what I'm talking about is something like healing or entertaining or communicating or protecting or enrolling. I mean, we all have one core gift. Now, you may be very good at a couple of different things, but there's always going to be something that edges out the other if you're being sufficiently honest about it. So that's going to be the first step, is really getting the clarity around what your core gift is. The second piece is understanding the vehicle that you will use to share that gift. And the third piece are the people. So who are the people that you're most compelled to serve? And like a tripod, you could have one or two legs, but the only way this thing really stands and survives and is sustainable is if you have all three pieces in place.
So clarity on what that core gift is, a vehicle in which to share that gift, and then know what people that you're compelled to serve. And so in your own personal story, Steve, I mean, sort of, what is your what?
Yeah, it's interesting. My gift is above and beyond anything else. It is communicating. And so kind of borderline with entertaining based on some of the things that I do, but really because of the work that I do around writing and speaking and so on, the core gift really is communicating. And the primary vehicle that I use to share that gift is writing. And so putting the book on the New York Times list and having other books as well, writing is the primary gift that I use. And the people that I'm most compelled to serve are those people who are really looking to reinvent either their life or their business. So I guess I might call them reinventors. Sometimes it's a subtle reinvention, and other times it's a full-blown 180-degree reinvention. But those are the people that I'm certainly most compelled to serve.
Okay, great. And so, so you mentioned a few times that you're sort of the reinvention guy. So, what does it mean to reinvent yourself?
It's interesting. Once Burger King started talking about reinventing the hamburger, I think that the name or the word itself, actually, reinvention, just kind of got a little bit of a bum rap, a little bit of, shall we say, overutilization. But the way that I've been talking about it now for the better part of a decade is it's not really changing anything about who you are. It's really just shedding the shackles of the personalities and the outfits, if you will, and shaking off the whims and the agendas of the others, that people really throw at you, to get back to the core and the essence of who you truly are. And so it's not an addition so much as it's a subtraction, if you will.
Okay, so cutting through all the noise and just figuring out like what the bare essentials are, I guess.
Yeah, again, just really understanding how you're naturally wired to excel.
Cool. And just to make sure that we're all sort of on the same page and to make sure that I am understanding it, can you give me maybe another couple of examples of maybe some of your clients or people that you've taught who they themselves have reinvented themselves also?
Yeah, a few examples come to mind. I'll share two with you. One is there was a woman who came to the Reinvention Workshop, which is a program I've been teaching live since 2009. There's a online course for that as well. But she came to the Reinvention Workshop a number of years ago, and when she came there, she was pretty clear on two parts of the equation and felt pretty decent about where she was at in her career, and had some decent amount of satisfaction with the work that she was doing. And so what she knew about herself was that her core gift was healing. And so she knew this, and had leveraged that gift as a nurse. And so the primary vehicle that she used and was using to share her gift of healing was nursing. But something was missing, and she didn't really know exactly what it was. And so as we dug into the third part of the equation, the people, it became very clear that although she enjoyed her work and she was working in a general hospital and seeing all sorts of different types of people, those weren't really her quote unquote people. What she was really struggling with was the fact that she is truly compelled to serve the disadvantaged elderly, but she didn't really know how to do that. And once it became clear that those are the people that she really had to figure out what to do and how to do it in order to be able to serve them well, she ended up shifting into a Veterans Administration hospital, where she is now the lead charge nurse, or whatever you call the nurse in charge there. And she has really found the combination of her gift of healing and the vehicle of nursing, and the people that she's most compelled to serve, the disadvantaged elderly, coming together in a way that she really could only dream about prior to being able to put her finger on that third piece of the puzzle. And it's really made all the difference in her world.
And are you seeing that where I mean, so there's the gift, the vehicle, and the people. Are you seeing that that people are sort of in the same scenario as that nurse, or maybe they only know about their gift, but the vehicle and the people is either missing or is incorrect?
So what I believe wholeheartedly is your gift doesn't change. I mean, it is in your DNA. If you look at the cover of the book, What is Your What, you'll see that the only graphic element that we have on that cover is the DNA strand, because really that's what we're talking about here, is that it's kind of something that's chosen you, right? I mean, it's not something that you can choose. Like, you can choose your why. I don't really think you can choose your what, but the fact is that the vehicle that you use to share that gift and the people that you're most compelled to serve, those are more fluid, those are more organic, those can change over time. And so, yeah, there are periods of time in people's lives where they won't be using any of those three elements of the framework. And then there's other periods of time where they're using all of them. And then there's periods where they're just using one or two. And it's interesting because I don't think that your gift ever really changes in terms of what it is that you're truly good at doing and naturally wired to do. For instance, I have a client who, again, came through the workshop. He was a chiropractor, went through school, raked up, $100,000 in school loan debt, built out his own practice, and was doing really well, paid off all of his debt, had a book full of paying clients. And he woke up one day and he just said, I just I can't do this anymore. This is just not, my heart just isn't in this field of being a chiropractor. And he did a lot of soul searching and came to the conclusion that what he's really naturally wired to do and what really puts fire in his soul is helping single women find love. And so this is an example of somebody who really made a 180-degree shift in terms of the vehicle and the people, but the gift that he was leveraging of healing, it didn't ever change. I mean, he was healing people through his chiropractor practice, and he's healing people now through helping single women find love. But obviously, the vehicle he's using and the people that he's serving are very, very different.
Interesting. And so if people are sort of taking this inventory and they're like the chiropractor or the nurse that you mentioned, and they say, okay, well, I have the gift and it doesn't change, and then the vehicle, there's the vehicle that can change and the people that can change. I mean, what should someone do? I mean, are there like a series of steps or like some sort of action someone should take, or is it just a matter of there are these three things, if they're not where they should be changed? Like, is it that simple, or is there some sort of actions to be taken?
Well, certainly the most powerful action is just getting in and getting it done, right? In terms of if you think that you're just needing to be in the music industry and that's what you need to do, then by all means go be in the music industry. In terms of surround yourself with people who are musicians, go to the clubs, go hear the live music, do whatever you got to do to immerse yourself in that world. And you'll know soon enough if you do it on a consistent basis, you'll know soon enough if that is in fact a world that you'd like to dance in. Now, if you really don't have a clue at all, what I highly recommend people do is create what I call an ABP statement. That's Apple Boy Piranha. And that would be an attributes, beliefs, and perspectives statement. And so in the ABP statement, what you'll do is literally write down all of your personal attributes. You're a man, you're a father, you're a cancer survivor, whatever those things might be. Your beliefs, I believe in God. I believe that everyone should have the ability to express themselves, whatever those beliefs are for you. And then your perspectives on life, whatever those perspectives might be. Like, I believe in, the power of free speech, or maybe, your perspective on things is that we should, from a political perspective, we shouldn't be worrying about people outside of our own country until we take care of our own, right? I mean, whatever those attributes, beliefs, and perspectives are, you write them all down, get them out on a piece of paper there, and what you'll find fairly quickly is that there are certain things that just jump off the paper at you. And probably, if you think hard enough about it, as you see the things that leap off the paper at you, you'll see that there are themes from your life that continually repeat. You'll find yourself looking at the words on the paper and seeing, geez, these are items or issues or, things in my life that really keep coming up time and time again. And that might be a clue that you can begin to pursue as you look to really figure out then what your gift is, what the vehicle is you'll use to share that gift, and who the people are that you're most compelled to serve. So that's a great way to start.
Okay, and it seems like a cool way of sort of breaking it down, where someone might say, "Well, there's like I don't even know where to begin. There's all this noise," and so it sounds like this is a really good way to sort of to categorize or take that inventory. So if someone does these sort of things, if they figure out like what their attributes, beliefs, and perspectives are, they write these down. They figure out what their gift really is, and maybe what vehicle and what people need to change, and maybe they're surrounding themselves with those types of people, or they're immersing themselves. What are your thoughts on if someone maybe for all these years leading up to now, what if they maybe compromised a little too much, and maybe they found themselves doing something that pays the bills but they don't love? I mean, what do they do then? Do they just quit the paycheck and make the transition, or what does someone do if they realize, okay, like I've taken that inventory and I'm doing the wrong thing? Now what are they supposed to do?
Yeah, and so basically the first thing is a big fat welcome letter, welcome to the club, because you pretty much just described most of the people who walk this planet. So reality is no, you don't quit the day job. You got to think about it in terms of a transitionary period. You don't want to just look at it kind of like a light switch where you just turn it on or you turn it off. I mean, if you got that trust fund in your back pocket or something like that, then you could make that kind of leap. But for the real world and the rest of us who weren't born with that silver spoon or the trust fund, then you may need to actually think about it in terms of a transitionary period where first and foremost you got to become very clear on how you're using your time, right? I mean, there's only two ways you can use your time. You can spend it or you can invest it. Most of the time we're spending our time as opposed to investing it into something that will pay meaningful dividends. So you got to start there, which is look at where your hours are going, because a lot of people don't feel like they could pursue something else because they just don't have enough hours in the day. But when you add up the amount of time you binge on Netflix or you're at the gym, which I'm not saying you shouldn't be at the gym, but all of these things that you do, it adds up to an inordinate amount of time that you could be investing in making this transition towards something that puts more fulfillment, more fire under your feet there. So what I liken this to is like a recipe mixture, right? In terms of right now, 100% of your income is derived from what it is that you don't want to be doing, where 0% of your income is derived from what you do. And so as soon as you start down that path of whatever this new venture is, and you start thinking about generating income and you create products or services or whatever it might be in that field, as soon as that dollar one comes in, the recipe mixture starts to shift. And so you'll get to 90% of your income being derived from what it is you don't want to do, and 10% from what you do, and 80-20, and 70-30, and 60-40, et cetera, et cetera. And you'll know when you can officially cut the rope. But yeah, to quit the day job and let someone, I mean, just to not let someone else fund your transition, ultimately, I think is a pretty big mistake.
Okay, fair enough. And I've been free for about 8 years, and I was kind of the in that similar mindset where like my ego really wanted me to quit right away, but then I thought, well, let me be smart about this, and let me sort of I didn't think of it in exactly those terms, but it was like so sort of gradually move it from that move that slider or whatever from 100% it's from the day job, and then move it over to that other mixture. And so so are you saying that like so when someone is maybe they're finding an extra hour or two in the day of skipping the gym sometimes, or not watching Netflix or whatever, and they find those extra hours in the day to grow this business, are you saying that everyone sort of has their own percentage, I guess, or everyone has a different sort
Yeah.
of mixture level of knowing when to quit?
Yeah, and it's a great point because ultimately it really boils down to how quickly can you transition, and the faster you can transition, often the happier you'll be. But most people can't make that transition as quickly as they'd like to because they've got bills to pay and mouths to feed and whatever it might be. And so it's a really important part of the process here to give serious consideration to what it is that you want versus what it is that you actually need. And so when you look at your expenses, right? I mean, you got your housing expense, you've got your food expense, you've got your transportation expenses, et cetera, et cetera. If that adds up to $5,000 a month, and you could save $2,500 a month by moving into a studio apartment instead of a 2-bedroom apartment, by getting rid of your car and Ubering it or taking, public trans, or not eating out 3 times a week and eating out once a week, whatever it might be. I mean, if you can take that monthly nut from 5 grand down to 2,500 for a period of time, you've now cut that transition by 50%. So if it was going to take you a year to gross 60 grand because your monthly nut was 5 grand, now maybe you get to 30 grand. And because your monthly nut is now 2,500, it's even less than that, right? So I mean, it's like at 30 grand, at 2,500 a month, you're talking about a full year. But if it's 6 months, now you're down to 12.5. So you've gone from 60 to 30 to 20. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the numbers keep getting smaller and smaller depending on what it is that you actually need. And truth be told, if you dive headfirst into creating a business that fulfills you, generating an extra 2,500 or 3 grand a month is entirely doable in a fairly short period of time. So you got to be really aware of the numbers.
And that makes a lot of sense, and it's sort of like the same mindset with finding the extra time, right? You find an extra hour or two in the day there, and then you figure out what are a couple of expenses I can cut here and there, not necessarily just for it to be that way forever, but you say, okay, well, if I can save myself 2 grand a month, then that sort of shortcuts, or maybe that even cuts the time in half when I'm in that transition phase where I can go from the day job to the being fully self-employed thing.
Yeah, Dave Ramsey has a great quote. He says that if you're willing to live like no one else, then later you can live like no one else. And I love that quote because we're not talking about this being permanent. We're not talking about this being for the rest of your life. We're just talking about it being for right now.
Awesome. And so the what is your what book that helps people to handle all that, to handle what their what is, and to figure out their gift, and to quit their day job. Does it cover all of those subjects?
It does. Yeah, it goes through everything that we just talked about. Absolutely.
Awesome. So there's the book, and then you've mentioned a couple of times that you have sort of a reinvention workshop as well. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to start is definitely with the book. You can grab a free copy of the book at whatisyourwhat.com/free. So whatisyourwhat.com/free. And as you go through the book, you'll then have an opportunity to enroll in the Reinvention Workshop online course. And if the book and the online course resonate with you, then yeah, occasionally, I'm not doing it as often as I used to, but occasionally we are still doing the Reinvention Workshop live.
Okay, and just out of curiosity, for those times when you do, so okay, first of all, you said that you're only doing the Reinvention Workshop live some of the time. Did I hear you right?
So in terms of my leading the workshop, that is correct. Yeah, I've only been doing it a few times a year now. Haven't been doing it very often. So that's I used to do it almost every week from about 2009 to 2013 or so, and then I've been cutting it back, and now we've been doing a lot more online.
Okay, and so if someone gets the What Is Your What book for free, and they work themselves up to that online workshop, what sort of things can they expect? Like, what sort of ground do you guys cover in that online workshop?
Certainly everything that we covered today on this call, and a heck of a lot more, because we get into establishing the foundation, basically creating the person that you need to be in order to support the person that you're going to become. So we get into establishing the foundation. We get into what's known as the 7 life-altering principles, which are really the things that we should have been taught in school, but we weren't. It's just kind of how to deal with life as it happens, and how to make sure that you're making decisions that support you're fulfilling your what in as much of a powerful way as you possibly can. And then how do you identify what your what is and begin to share and monetize it?
Awesome. So, I mean, when you're helping a lot of people discover their what, discover what they are meant to do, discover basically how to go from maybe a life that they're not completely satisfied with to what they want. I mean, when you're dealing with these people, are you seeing like a number one mistake that like everyone just kind of always comes across on this path?
So, I mean, I can't point to one mistake per se, but what I can point to is overwhelmingly people look at, I mean, I'm not trying to call you out here, brother, but how old are you?
I am 31.
You're 31. Yeah. So I'm a bunch of years older than you at this point. I work with a lot of 30 somethings, a lot of 20 somethings. And, it's that MTV kind of generation of instant gratification. We're a short attention span nation at this point, globally, I guess, more than just here locally. But, reality is that from an attention span standpoint, we don't have the patience that we once used to have as a society. And this is not a short-term game. And I think what ends up happening is a lot of people get frustrated because they aren't where they want to be as quickly as they want to be there. And this is something that you got to look at as a life's journey and not just simply a little bit of a short-term thrill.
I can completely relate to that. And it's almost like that everyone else around, at least around me in life, like when everyone else is impatient, it kind of rubs off on me and gets me to be impatient. And then the other thing that kind of springs to mind as you were saying that is like there's that whole Facebook effect, right? Where everyone pretends that their life is so great or their life is so easy or the successes they've had are so easy and you don't see all those other years before where they kind of struggled. And I kind of look at that and say, oh, I want that. I just want to like take their shortcut. And I have to tell myself that that everyone's basically like outside persona that they're trying to project, that oh, they just looked into it, it's easy. A lot of that is sort of manufactured, and we all kind of go through those same kind of struggles. We just project that nice sort of outward or look there. And so yeah, I think that this is a very important subject for people of all ages to sort of look at. But as you said, especially the more younger generation who have kind of been conditioned to be less patient. And so I think this is really good. This is a really good subject, and I think that everyone should go to whatisyourwhat.com/free to claim that free book. And are there any other websites that people should be looking at and going to, Steve, or is whatisyourwhat.com/free the place to go?
I mean, that's certainly a great place to start. The show that you mentioned at the top of the interview here, Reinvention Radio. If you're on iTunes or Stitcher and you're into podcasts, certainly you can check that out. Or of course, you can grab those shows online. But realistically, if you survive the book and you survive the Reinvention Radio show, and you want to find out more information, then sure, you can go to Steve Olsher, Olsher, steveolsher.com.
Perfect. So for today, everyone go right now to whatisyourwhat.com/free. Get the book. If you like what you see, then tomorrow go to reinventionradio.com. And if you like that too, then on day 3, go to steveolsher.com. But the place to go right now is whatisyourwhat.com/free. So thanks for stopping by the show, Steve, and sort of bringing to light this kind of scary thing that is in the back of a lot of people's minds. They might have had a real big dream when they got started and maybe compromised over and over again and got on the wrong track and need to get back on track. So I really appreciate the ways you made it simple and the way you gave us some real things that we can solve and sort of categorize or drill down and know where our real problem is and what needs to change. So whatisyourwhat.com/free, and I appreciate you very much, Steve, for hopping on the show. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening to today's program. Start from the beginning or view past episodes at robertplank.com/episodes.